Imagine being in Abraham's shoes. God asks you for what you love most. Your hands shake, your heart races, but at just the right moment, he intervenes. Today, we'll explore one of the Bible's greatest whispers of redemption, the story of how God provided on Mount Moriah and how he still does the same today. Prepare your heart, because this study will change your perspective on faith, sacrifice, and the true meaning of Easter, a whisper of provision. Our theme this week is Whispers of Redemption, and we're beginning our journey toward Easter at the beginning of the Bible, in Genesis. Genesis comes from the Greek word meaning origin, although the author and date of the book are not agreed upon. Genesis is traditionally attributed to Moses. It is a generations-old text. Think of Genesis as the introduction to God's grand narrative, the inaugural act of the incredible story of creation, sin, and redemption that still impacts every area of our lives today. Our theme this week is Whispers of Redemption, and we're beginning our journey toward Easter at the beginning of the Bible, in Genesis. In Genesis chapter 22, verses 9 through 14, it says, "When they came to the place God had told him about, Abraham built an altar and set up the altar on it, wood. He tied his son Isaac and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. Then he reached out his hand and took the knife to sacrifice his son. But the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven. 'Abraham, here I am,' he answered. 'Do not touch the boy,' the angel said. 'Do not do anything to him. Now I know that you fear God, because you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me.' Abraham looked up and saw a ram caught by its horns in a thicket. He went and got it and sacrificed it as a burnt offering in place of his son. Abraham named that place, 'The Lord will provide.' That is why it is said to this day, 'On the mountain of the Lord it will be provided.'" Something to think about. Have you ever felt like you were in a no-win situation? The walls close in, defeat seems inevitable, and you wonder, where is God in all this? George Müller knew this feeling well. A 19th century minister in Bristol, England, Müller ran an orphanage, faithfully following God's call. One morning, he discovered that the orphanage had no food for the 300 children in its care. Both supplies and hope had run out. However, instead of despairing, the woman put her strength in God. Calmly, she instructed that the housekeeper settled the children in the dining room. They prayed, thanked God for the food, and trusted that he would provide. In a few moments, a baker knocked on the door. "Mr. Müller," he said, "I couldn't sleep last night. I was sure you would need bread today, so I baked 3 batches for you." Soon afterward, a milkman came by. His cart had broken down outside, and the milk would soon spoil. He offered it to the children for free. In that moment of scarcity, God provided, demonstrating his power to meet us in impossible situations. In today's passage, Abraham also faced the impossible. God had commanded him to sacrifice his only son, Isaac. Though confusion and anguish likely filled his heart, Abraham obeyed, and his trust in God was rewarded with a miraculous provision, a ram caught in the thicket. In awe of his God and joyful for his son's salvation, Abraham named the place, "The Lord will provide." This story points us to something even deeper. As we reflect on Abraham's ram, we hear our next whisper of redemption. Jesus is like that ram for us, our miraculous substitute. On the cross, God met our greatest need, reaching into the depths of our despair to save us from the pit of death. Impossible, sin and death. Jesus is the true Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. Stop for a moment and reflect on how God provides, especially if you are anxious today. Imagine trusting God without reservation, as Abraham did. Let his words become your hope. The Lord will provide. Join us again tomorrow as we journey together to Exodus and reflect on the deeper meaning of Passover. We will see how the rescue of God's people from Egypt points to an even greater salvation offered to all of us. Abraham called that place, "The Lord will provide." What about you? What would you call the place where God has worked in your life? If you are facing an impossible challenge today, remember, the same God who sent a ram to Abraham and bread to George Müller is at your side. He is Jehovah Jireh. Leave a comment, God will provide, and share this video with someone who needs this message. Don't forget, tomorrow we'll continue our journey through Exodus, revealing how Easter points to Christ. Until then, walk in the assurance He will provide.